Welcome to my WOW video tutorial. This is Mary Fish with Stampin' Pretty and StampinPretty.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I sell the products that I'm going to share with you today, as well as post paper crafting tips, ideas, and the latest specials on my blog, StampinPretty.com. Stop by and subscribe to my daily blog updates, and there's a free PDF tutorial. Same thing with my newsletter, free PDF tutorial, so please stop by. Today's card is nothing short of luxe. It has the most beautiful background that I embossed, actually using the same die I used to cut these copper snowflakes, and then a little bit of layering of ink and one of our shimmer paints. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about right now, is how I embossed using the dies, which with the embossing bats, it literally turns most or all of your dies into embossing tools. Very cool option. And then this yummy spritzed background to give shine, as well as that artisanal look that I think is just gorgeous for the holidays. So two key ingredients. This is actually one of our Stampin' Up! Bundles. It's the beautiful Blizzard stamp set that comes with all of these stamps for the holidays. I really love this interesting font. And the Blizzard Thinlits dies. It's one single die, but you can certainly layer cardstock in just certain areas just to get one, or you can stamp the whole thing and crop many snowflakes. Really important though, I have the best luck when I'm actually cropping out entire snowflakes using the precision based plate or the precision base plate for the Big Shot. It makes a huge difference. I was not happy with my results until I used the precision base plate. But today we're going to actually use the embossing mats so that we can get an embossed look with this. So let's get started. Here are some things that I want to make sure we start with. I have some grid paper. That's going to be protecting my surface because we're going to do a little spritzing later. And then I have a piece of cardstock, and it's a little larger than I'm ultimately going to need for the card. Reason being, I think it's easier to use a larger piece and then cut it afterwards in case you have to just line it up a little bit differently, or just you notice that one side is a little cleaner embossed than the other. You can certainly cut it to use it at its best. I have some Mary Merlot ink. This is a new ink pad, so it's a little stiff. And this is one of the stamps from the beautiful Blizzard stamp set. It's the smaller of the two texture stamps. And I'm using that kind of tone on tone with some Mary Merlot ink for texture. Very random, but you can see how it gives some darkness. And when I add the shimmer paint, we'll get a nice contrast for the background that I think it really makes it pop. And you can be, I'm being a little too, I think I want to be a little more random in this. I don't need them to all be lined up, you know, like rows of corn. Okay, that's plenty. Maybe I'll do a little up there. Okay, because a lot of times those are the spots on the embossing. And then this is the bright copper shimmer paint. And then we mixed up about a few drops of this with some water. You can also use alcohol. I used water, and it ends up filling up to about 1/5 of the spritzer. This is the Stampin' Up! Spritzer, and it has a cap. And I'm just gonna leave this. I'm not gonna wash it out and change it out. I'm just going to know that I'm gonna use this bright copper color over and over. Okay, so I wanna first move on to how to use the embossing mats. And I originally did a video showing these embossing mats. Sorry for any glare. And I based it on the Stampin' Up! Video that I had seen, and actually I think I found a little bit easier sandwich. The original sandwich essentially was like this, okay, with the die facing up and cutting up. But the problem with that is that the die was flipped up and the cardstock this direction, so you really couldn't see if your die moved at all. So I just flipped everything, and it now, whoops, there we go. That's how it should be. And now everything will work this direction, and it will work just perfectly. I get the same results, I should say. And so I'm going to have this face up, and I can see where I'm putting my die. So quickly, I have the Big Shot platform. I have this white pad that comes with the embossing mats. I have the blue embossing mat. I have my cardstock face up, and I have the Blizzard Thinlits die face down, and I'm going to add a embossing plate on top. I label my embossing plates because that way they aren't subjected to quite the same amount of damage, I guess, that the dies are. So I'm going to run this through my trusty Big Shot, and I'm going to run it back and forth several times. I think you just get a little more oomph. And as I've said many times before, I love the Big Shot because it has no technology curve. It doesn't need any electricity, and you are going to get yummy results like this. See that? Isn't that just gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. So now let's take it that next level of yummy. And before I do that, I wanted to mention that there's also a thicker gray embossing mat that you can use exactly the same way, but the difference is it's just a little deeper in terms of the impression it makes and a little more cutting. I think this is gorgeous as well, and you could do the same technique I'm about to show you, but you can see how it crops a little bit deeper, cuts a little bit, but really creates an interesting texture with just a little more movement. So now I'm going to take this spritz, and you want to have, again, things covered. And I don't need to bring it way out to here. I am going to go lightly, but I kind of want inconsistent. And I'm going to just turn, and 'cause I want it to be really artful and cool. So this is going to dry, but you can see already the beautiful shimmer effect. And I think it really enhances that background. I'm gonna give it just a little zhuzh because I think this is one that's gonna show when I do the card. And so I really want it gorgeous. Oop, there we go. Okay, I went from like to love. And again, it can be a little bit wet, a little bit drippy, and it's gonna dry, and it's gonna look amazing. Can you see all that gorgeous color and shine? So luxe and beautiful. And then I'll show you the finished card one more time. So you can see that finished background here. You can see where I stamped with ink, and then that contrast to the copper. And I just think it's really beautiful. So hopefully in today's wow video, you learned how to flip around the embossing mats and turn your dies into embossing folders, as well as to use just a touch of the shimmer paint to get a really luxe look for the holidays as well as year-round. If you have any questions or comments, I love them. Please leave them on YouTube for me, and I'll be more than happy to respond to you very promptly. Thank you, and bye-bye.